6 years old. Hi, I'm Zosha and I'm 8 years old.
Hi everyone, this is Mommy.
What's up everyone, I'm Daddy.
And you're listening to
It's Movie Night.
And this week we watched Freebirds.
Relativity released this Thanksgiving animation in 2013. It's rated PG and has a runtime of 1 hour and 31 minutes. Some other potential movie night picks the studio released around this time were Fast and Furious 6 and Earth to Echo.
This movie is about two turkeys named Reggie and Jake who find a time machine and use it to go back in time to make sure that turkey is not served at the very first Thanksgiving.
Some familiar voices. Reggie is played by Owen Wilson. You will know him as the voice of Lightning McQueen in the Cars franchise. He plays Jedediah in the Night at the Museum franchise. He's Roy O'Bannon in Shanghai Noon and Shanghai Nights, but parents, you may recognize him as John from The Wedding Crashers. Yep. Don't watch that one with kids.
It's a good movie, though.
Very quotable in this house.
Yes.
Very quotable. And then we have Jake, who is voiced by Woody Harrelson. This is his only animated family film, but we think you can show kids him as Hamish Abernathy in the Hunger Games franchise, Merritt McKinney in the Now You See Me movies, and he also plays Beckett in Solo, a Star Wars story. I think those could be for kids.
Absolutely.
But parents, you may recognize him as Tallahassee from the Zombieland films.
Not a big fan of those, but I think that those are also, like, if you want to have like a gateway zombie movie, I don't think those movies are awful. I can't remember. I'd have to rewatch them.
It's been so long. Like, I remember seeing the first one and liking it, but yeah, we'll have to revisit.
Yes.
Jenny is voiced by Amy Poehler. Your kids will know her as Joy from the Inside Out films. She's everywhere lately, especially with the second film coming out.
Biggest movie of the year so far.
Yep, but parents, you will know her most notably as Leslie Knope from Parks and Recs, and she was an SNL cast member from 2001 to 2008. Chief Broadbeak is voiced by Keith David. We looked at the girls and we were like, come on, listen, you know this voice.
You know this voice, yeah.
He is Dr. Facilier in The Princess and the Frog. He plays the cat in Coraline, and he is Goliath in Gargoyles. He's just got such an iconic voice.
Such a cool voice.
It is. It makes me talk and go, ugh.
The director of this movie is Jimmy Hayward. He directed Horton Hears a Who and Jonah Hex. In this movie, those are his only movies he's ever done. And Horton Hears a Who, Zosha said she did not like it.
She said it's the worst Dr. Seuss film.
Yeah, she hasn't seen Cat in the Hat, though, so...
Yeah, that's true. That's a whole different beast to tackle.
But he also does the voice of Ranger in this movie.
Oh, okay.
Ranger's a fun character. And then he's an animator for Toy Story 1 and 2, A Bug's Life, Monsters, Inc., and Finding Nemo.
So he's a fantastic animator because those are all fantastic films.
Those movies slap, yeah, absolutely. So first impressions of this movie, Mommy, this was a first watch for all of us, but this did come out in November of 2013.
Wow.
Why didn't we not watch this movie?
I'd never even heard of it until you were like, hey, we're watching Freebirds this Friday. And I'm like, the Leonard Skinner? Like, what do you mean Freebirds?
No, our friend Adam from the Does It Hold Up podcast was like, hey, check out this movie. It's an animation. It's about, it's a Thanksgiving movie. I had no idea that it was going to be about time travel.
No, the moment we saw the time travel come down, I was like, well, Maddie's already automatically going to be slightly partial to this film.
Yeah. But no, it was, I'm not sure why we didn't watch this movie either. November 2013, we were together.
Well, yes, we were. And especially, I feel like we have done research on Thanksgiving movies because that's why we debated showing the girls Planes, Trains, and Automobiles because that was one of the only Thanksgiving movies that we could think of. Mm-hmm. So how this didn't even pop up in our Google search
I don't know.
Is mind-boggling because there's not a lot of Thanksgiving movies.
There's not.
But hey, we finally found it.
So this is normally our area where we have the title drop, but there was no title drop in this movie, surprisingly. And then there was no cat cam either, so we're not going to have Amelia or Zosha come in yet.
We did have some favorite scenes, though. Amelia really likes when Jake rescues the chicks, and pretty much everything involving Jake and the chicks when they're, like, climbing all over him in the tree, and then they all fall asleep together. It's just really cute.
Jake is a huge chicken. He's made to be out, like, as one of the alpha chickens. So the fact that these tiny chicks are drawn to him and just...
He's swole.
Yeah, they're piled onto him. It's very cute and funny. Speaking of Jake being really swole and being, like, an alpha... When they go back in time, they meet Ranger, who, like I said earlier, is the director's voice, and he is like the alpha of that group. He's the big swole guy. He takes care of everyone. And Jake and him have this rivalry where, they're the alphas. They're trying to prove themselves. So they puff their chests up and they, whatever their goblets or whatever.
They're little gobblers.
Yeah, they're gobblers. They like puff those up and they run into each other and they're having like, they start butting heads and
they punch each other in the neck at one point.
It's just very funny that even they have to go out. I don't know what they're doing. They're reconning or something. And they're both like sending hand signals, like army hand signals. And they just get really ridiculous with it. And just everything between these two is hilarious because I don't think this is a spoiler at all to say that by the end of the movie, they see eye to eye. Like they know they have the same goals and to take care of their colony, I guess you would call them. And they're hilarious. I love them.
They have a touch of bromance to them. Like there's one scene in particular where they end up doing this weird like dance together and it's hilarious. And they look around like, good, nobody's here to see that.
Yeah, it was so funny. I love them. Another scene I really liked was the credits. So the credits of this movie, because they went back in time and they took turkeys off the menu, now turkeys have become, I don't know, more iconic. So you see the Statue of Liberty has like a turkey head, and you see that on I don't know what dollar bill it is,
but they're on the money.
They're on money. They're on currency, and then they're used as mascots for sports teams and stuff. So it's really cool to see that the time travel that they did affect the future. It was pretty cool.
It is funny, but the thing that really got me thinking, and it's a ridiculous thing, is now, how did they start making pizza? They didn't have brick ovens. They didn't have anything back then. So the Thanksgiving after this year, after they time traveled the pizza in, how did the Pilgrims and Native Americans make it?
Yeah, I'm sure they had fire. They had ovens, I'm sure. I'm sure they had stoves, like stovetop.
Yeah, but there was no
something.
Pasteurization of cheeses yet, so...
Well, maybe it just sped up the process. I don't know.
There are some unanswered questions in this movie, for sure. I wouldn't say it's a specific scene in general, but I enjoyed all the parts where Governor Bradford would pop up, and he is the governor of the Pilgrims, and he is just this chubby man that is so concerned with food, and I can relate with that sometimes. Like, I love how he's like, oh, do we have birds? Are you going to eat that corn? Can I eat that? What do we got? Like, it's just so funny. Like, it's ridiculous, but I relate with that. Another favorite, George Takei being Steve, the time travel.
Yes, the time travel egg or device or whatever you want to call it, transportation. He's like an AI inside there, and it's cool.
But it's hilarious because obviously George Takei is from Star Trek, so for him to be like this vessel to space and time, I was like, that's a funny touch. I like that.
It was very cool. I liked it.
And with those favorite scenes, we'll roll into some positives. Overall, this movie's just funny. It's got a decent amount of kid jokes and adult jokes. There's also the reoccurring joke about how strong Jake and Ranger's glute muscles are, and you see them flex and everything. It's funny. The girls loved it.
They're flexing it. Like I said, just anything with Jake and Ranger is hilarious. They're awesome characters. I think something else that's really cool about this movie is Owen Wilson's in this movie. We got to have his tagline.
Oh, yeah.
What is it?
Someone saying, wow.
Wow. Yes. He says it 3 times in this movie.
Hey, there we go. That's some satisfaction.
So if you want to make this an adult game of beverages,
you can at least have 3 beverages.
You can at least have 3 beverages. And then on top of that, you finally have a decent animation to watch with the kids on Thanksgiving.
Yes, because like I had mentioned, we were struggling to find something because like Pocahontas, it doesn't quite fit the vibes.
Yeah, not in this day and age.
No, it's
still a good movie, but not to watch on that holiday.
No, if anything, it shows us that parts of Thanksgiving were a bit of a lie.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it was very refreshing when we watched this movie that you'll find out our thumb reviews shortly, but just in general, it was nice to have something that was family directed, that is an animation that can capture those younger viewers that are coming over to your house. If you got toddlers coming over, there's something that you can put on that is going to occupy those little ones.
Absolutely. I agree with that. They're going to be preoccupied with this while you're doing adult things or cooking or,
cooking mainly.
Yeah. But what would you say the message of this movie is?
I think that there are two messages here, actually. One with Reggie finding confidence and bravery within himself. It's a very important skill for all of us to have, to just believe in yourself and lean into that growth. The other would be to value friendships and be there for the ones you love. Whether it's Jake and Reggie, Jenny and Reggie, or the turkeys as a whole, they show up for each other when it matters most.
That's beautiful.
You know, and that's all about Thanksgiving. Show up for each other and be thankful. And eat everything.
Yes.
And we're even honoring this movie because we're not having turkey this year.
We are not.
We are having a lasagna, Caesar salad, pie combo, whatever, Thanksgiving, and it's going to be wonderful.
I don't know if we're having any meat.
In the lasagna.
Oh, there will be meat in the lasagna?
Yeah, we'll have a meat sauce.
Okay, sounds good.
It might be. Well, if it's ground turkey, though, we'll see. We'll find out. Maybe we are having turkey.
Maybe. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Maybe we are.
To be continued.
Let's just lean into negatives now. Time travel happens in this movie, so time travel talk happens. And it could be difficult to explain to younger audiences. It's sort of easier shown in movies, like when you see that technology or that thing that exists hasn't happened yet or hasn't been invented yet, versus somebody saying, I'm going back to the year so-and-so. When most kids that are really young don't really know what year we're in now and don't understand like subtraction. So I think that time travel is a hard thing just in years, not even talking about the science of it. It's kind of hard for little kids to understand.
Oh, yeah. They're still grasping the concept of time in general.
Yeah.
Like our kids are 8 and 6, and sometimes they're like, well, how long's an hour? And you're like,
true.
you know, we're still tackling that, let alone being like, yeah, we're going back to Thanksgiving, which is what, 1400? I'm probably failing at history right now. I know you're not going to be any help with this.
I don't know why you're asking me this question at all.
I'm like, well, we came here in 1492, so let's say it's got to be sometime after that point.
Yeah.
But I agree. They're probably like, okay, I see pilgrims, but all right. Hence my question of how are they going to make this pizza when none of it has been invented yet?
Yeah, let it go. Let it go.
Another thing that got me with this movie, not that it's a completely negative deal breaker, but it just caught me off guard. Like, wow, they really just did that. And it's when the turkeys light these pumpkins on fire and launch them at the pilgrims in defense. And they show a cutaway of one of these pilgrims getting hit directly in the face with this flaming pumpkin. And he goes down. And I'm like, oof, there's no coming back from that. Those turkeys definitely just took that guy out.
Yeah, there's violence in this movie that does happen, and I mean, it's an animation that's unrealistic. I mean, these turkeys are way advanced for turkeys in general.
They're raiding weapons supply closets and stuff, so yeah.
Yeah, they're like building traps. I mean, I don't know. Maybe turkeys can do that. I have no idea. Who am I to say that they can't?
Who am I?
But from what I have seen, they cannot do these things. And I don't know if that's necessarily a nitpick on that aspect of it all. But in terms of violence, yes, this movie can be violent at times.
But I understand the violence. I mean, their hatred for humans comes from us eating them, so I can see them wanting to strike back. I get it.
Yeah, it's fight or flight.
Yep.
No pun intended for that.
Because turkeys aren't very good flyers.
Yeah. So
which is why we eat them every year.
So what kind of parental guidance do we have, Mommy?
So language is mild with only things like shut up or heck. And there's some name calling and talks of being stupid, which we don't like to do in our house, but definitely nothing severe. You're totally fine with showing this to younger audiences. Violence-wise, like we just mentioned, there's tons of violence when it comes to the turkeys versus the pilgrims, with setting traps, explosions, gun use, and fire. There are homes destroyed on both sides, and it's pretty graphic at times for an animation. Scary-wise, I think the dogs would be the only scary part for younger audiences. They look very odd to begin with their like blocky type heads, but they're shown as all black and always appear very vicious. Grown-up stuff, like we've mentioned, we see Jake's strong glutes a couple times, so if you're against turkey booties, this might not be for you, but it's not bad at all. And Reggie seems to fall in love with Jenny almost instantly. So there's a lot of awkward flirting and like side conversations that are just definitely more relatable to adults than children.
Yes.
And they do share one off-screen kiss. Cry factor, our household did not have any tears, but there is a sacrifice that happens that I think could trigger some waterworks.
Which you asked a good question at this scene. You were like, they have a time travel device. Why don't they just fix this? I don't know. An animation.
We're talking about a kids' Thanksgiving turkey time travel movie. So yeah, just like me with the pizza, we get to a certain point where we're like, you know what, we just got to drop it.
Yeah. But as for an age recommendation, you know your kids better than we do. We're just here to give our opinions. Throughout this episode, we pretty much talked about everything you need to know in this section. It's funny for adults and kids. There's slapstick violence. The dogs might be a little scary. And then finally, we have an animation that we can watch with kids on Thanksgiving. So with that, I'm not going to put an age recommendation. Any age could have fun with this movie.
I agree.
So our Rotten Tomato critics have this movie at a 20%.
That's pretty low.
It is, and that's a thumbs down. Audiences have it higher, still a thumbs down, though, at 45%. Let's see how it holds up in our house. Zosha, do you give Freebirds a thumbs up, a thumbs middle, or a thumbs down?
Thumbs down.
Ooh, why a thumbs down?
I didn't like the characters.
Oh, you don't like Reggie or Jake, huh?
No, I don't like them.
Okay, that's fine.
Zosha didn't like Horton Hears a Who either, so you just don't like this director, do you?
Yeah, I don't.
Jimmy Hayward is not a win for Zosha. Amelia, what do you give this movie?
Thumbs down.
A thumbs down? Why a thumbs down?
Because when I watched it, it was like kind of boring and I was like squiggling around my body because I couldn't watch it end.
Okay. Mommy.
Honestly, I'm going to give this movie a thumbs middle just because rewatchability, I would put this on again, especially on Thanksgiving. It wasn't the greatest movie. It was super random. It was super weird. But yeah, I'm going to give it a thumbs middle just on the fact that it is a Thanksgiving movie that we can put on for kids. And it was funny enough that I would pay attention to it again. What about you, Daddy?
Yeah, I feel like I'm fazed by this as well of like, okay, you know, we finally found a Thanksgiving animation, so I'm happy about that. But was it actually a good movie? The answer is probably no. Like, it's not a great movie by any means. Oh, man.
It's hard.
I'm always going to go a Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And even the girls watched the end of that movie last year, so I think they can watch that full movie. I mean, there's no adult things in that. This episode's not about that movie, so we're not going to get too far into it. But, man, I think I'm going to side with the critics and the girls. I think I'm going to go thumbs down.
That's fair.
Are you sticking with thumbs middle? You seem very, very like
when I do my ratings, I do think about rewatchability.
Okay.
And like I said, like you said, by any means, is this movie a good movie? No, it is a ridiculous script. We're talking about turkeys time traveling and bringing Chuck E. Cheese pizza to pilgrims and stuff.
Pizza, yeah.
It is absolutely bonkers. But because of that, I mean, they did their job because now I'm going to remember this movie. Like, how do you forget that you watched this ridiculousness? So I'm going to keep it as a low thumbs middle.
I will still recommend it to people, too.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you got little kids? Cool, watch Freebirds.
Yeah, I'll keep it as a low thumbs middle.
And if any of you would like to add Freebirds to your movie night list, it is currently streaming on Paramount Plus, Freevee, or available across platforms.
And after watching, let us know if you give it thumbs up, thumbs middle, or thumbs down.
And when you want to let us know what you think about the movie, please find us on social media. We like to post pictures of us on our movie nights, letting you know what snacks and sweets we're eating. It's a fun place to hang out.
Our Facebook is It's Movie Night, and our Instagram is It's Movie Night Pod. Thank you for listening. Join us next week for another movie night.
Happy Thanksgiving.